this is their second album, only their second album ever. It's called Favorite Worst Nightmare, which is my number 4 album of all time, and I'll tell you why. There are a couple of reasons. One, Brian Storm has one of the best. As far as album intros go, I love Brian Storm so much. It kicks off the album with a frenetic drum intro that I haven't seen done again in an album like that in a very long time. And it sets the tone for the next 35 minutes of music that you're about to listen to. The whole album just feels very... Apparently, they recorded the first album, and they were playing shows, and they were touring around the UK, and then their label was like, well, we need another album. And I think they recorded it all in the span of 2 weeks, something like that, because they just wanted to get back out and play shows. And you can kind of hear that in the actual album itself, where there are a lot of songs that are very fast-paced, and there's a lot of energy in the album. Obviously, the first one, you could argue, has more of a raw sound to it, whereas the second one feels a little bit more polished. But that's just because they were really fucking good, and the record label, I'm sure, threw more money at them to make the second one. But before I go on talking about the album, I want to talk about how I heard the Arctic Monkeys for the very first time, because I did not mean to hear them, and I did not mean for them to be my number 4 favorite album of all time. I, in high school, was a big fan of the Foo Fighters. We had just talked about the Foo Fighters last episode. It won't be the last time that we talk about the band. But in high school, I wanted to watch their set at Glastonbury in, I think, 2011 or 2012. And I remembered sitting downstairs in the basement on YouTube on my parents' computer, and I tuned into the live stream on YouTube, and I got there a little early. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this band that I've never heard of before, and they're playing their last couple of songs, and I'm kind of paying attention in and out of whatever they're doing. But as I'm waiting more and more, I start to listen more closely, and I realize, oh shit, these guys they're pretty good. And it was the Arctic Monkeys. And so after I watched the Foo Fighters set, I started looking at more songs from them. And at the time, I think they only had maybe 1 or 2 more albums that they had come out with after Favorite Worst Nightmare. And I listened to that whole album all the way down, trying to find their most popular songs. And so I listened to Brian Storm, I listened to Fluorescent Adolescent, I listened to 505, and then eventually I listened to the whole album. And yeah, it made me appreciate rock-based or riff-based British rock so much more. Because I had only just started to deviate from the riff-heavy metal shit that we listened to, and I was also trying to write songs that were riff-heavy rock songs, whatever. And so the Arctic Monkeys, they served as another inspiring, jumping off point for me in my writing, because I learned not every rock song has to have a big ass intricate guitar solo, but riffs are still cool.
God, that sucks. My camera's about to die.
Oh no. Well, we'll wrap this up then. David's camera is about to die, so you might have to use mine, buddy.
I thought it was pretty good. This is the second time I heard it when we listened to it in the car.
Yeah.
I'm a much more fan of the first one because it kind of like goes crazy ham, and this one kind of goes like it's like 70% ham as opposed to 100% ham.
Right.
That the first album goes.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of highlights I liked, and yeah, it's very short, sweet, to the point, and it's a great way to stay in shape. Those are my thoughts.
It's a great way to stay in shape. What is that? What is that from?
That's Family Guy.
And it's a great way to stay in shape. Fuck. I forgot what that was. Yeah, it's just frenetic British rock, and I know a lot of people know the Arctic Monkeys from songs off the album AM, which are a little bit more, I wouldn't say mellow, but it is sort of the shift from their big rock sound to the now way more chill, way more laid back sound of albums like Tranquil Base, Casino and Hotel. I think that's the name of the album. And then The Car, which we listened to. And that was only after you had heard the first album.
Yeah, and it sucked.
So going from their first album, which is very fast and crazy and everything hits hard, to the literal exact opposite, was like going 100 miles an hour and then coming to a screeching halt because you got to a school zone. And
Car, more like the car crash.
That's good. That's so funny.
I didn't like it. That's okay.
That's okay. We're not going to like the same things all the time. I just remember when someone in one of your rank your albums videos recommended Favorite Worst Nightmare. I got really excited because I was wondering how you were going to feel about it, listening to it intently and analytically. And it did crack the top half. It did crack the like good half.
Yeah, because that was before I heard the first one.
No, that was after.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because you did the... Well, I showed it to you...
Or right, you played it for me.
Yeah.
Like, a while ago.
And then you did their first album for the previous...
Oh, right, because you played it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanna go see the Arctic Monkeys because apparently they still do play songs off this album and the first album apparently. And last night, funny enough, I hosted an open mic where we had Arctic Monkeys inspired drinks. So if you're in Illinois, check out Arcadia Coffee in Downers Grove because we do fun stuff like that all the time. If you're an Arctic Monkeys fan, we're never going to do Arctic Monkeys drinks again, but come out anyway because I learned 505 just for you. And it's, like you said, it's very short, sweet. It's a great way to stay in shape, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So if you have an extra half hour to spare and you want to listen to some Scooby-Doo ass shit, turn on Favorite Worst Nightmare, favorite with a U, of course, by the Arctic Monkeys. Or just listen to Brian Storm and see if you like that kind of sound, because it is very...